Okay, I kind of wanted to tell you some items that you can kind of like alternate methods of storing your food and also sealing your food too. You don't have to have a flat iron in order to make the seal on your Mylar bags, although I do recommend a flat iron if you have the Ziploc kind for the buckets. Because it's skinnier and you're able to make a better seal because you want to stay above the notch so you can open it. That's why I recommend the flat iron for the Ziploc Mylar bags. Now, if you don't have the Mylar bags with the Ziploc at the top, or if you just don't like the Ziploc, then take a piece of plywood and lay it over here on the bucket itself, and then kind of drape the Mylar bag on top of it and take your iron, your regular clothes iron. You can buy a cheapo one at Walmart for like $6-7. You can. I would recommend having just a iron just for this, just in case you burn it for some reason. So just kind of iron it on the plywood. That's what you would do with that. So there is an alternative to the flat iron. Now there's always some ways that you can store your food without Mylar bags. One way is just to forget the Mylar bag in the bucket altogether. The people back in the 80s and 90s used to do this all the time. Back then really didn't have oxygen absorbers. I believe oxygen absorbers didn't really come into play until like the early 90s, maybe mid 90s, somewhere around there. Basically, they just stuck their rice in the buckets and they used dry bay leaves. That helped kill bugs. Don't ask me how, I don't know. The oxygen absorbers will also do the same thing because bugs like us need oxygen to breathe. So when you got all the oxygen out, there's nothing for them to breathe. So the oxygen absorbers would do the same thing. Bay leaves are just cheaper. But there's preppers out there who do both, who put oxygen absorbers and bay leaves, and they do the Mylar bag. That's definitely an option if you want to go that route. And some people actually use diatomaceous earth too. Same principle, to keep the bugs out. 2-liter bottles. I don't do this method. I prefer Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. That is my method. This came from my dad's prepper storage, and he just stored this rice this week. So we were kind of on the same page of storing rice this week. So basically what my dad does is he takes his 2 liters and he washes these out thoroughly. Make sure these are clean. And when he's done washing the bottle out, he makes sure it dries completely. Do not put any kind of rice or beans or whatever you want to put inside when there's little specks of water on the bottle itself. Make sure, sit it out in the sun on a sunny day and let this dry completely. That's what I would suggest you do. Okay, so what my dad does then is he takes a 300 cc oxygen absorber and he kind of folds it up and pushes it inside of the bottle. I'm not sure how high he gets his. I bet he gets his about this level here. So what he does then is he puts the date that he seals it in, just like I do. And he doesn't need to write what items inside because you can see what's in here. I would also recommend you find green bottles, like the Sundrop bottles, ones that are tinted green. That will help with keeping the sunlight out. Remember last week I said one of the tips to storing your food is to keep it away from sunlight. Well, my dad keeps this in his cabinet. It is away from sunlight, so he doesn't have to worry about the green bottles. And he stacks them like logs. He puts them on the side and kind of stacks them on top of each other like this. So he tries to save as much space as possible. He's in an apartment, and this is how he saves space. He can't really do the big buckets like I can. So this is an alternative for you guys who do not have a lot of space to keep your long-term food storage, or the rice, or whatever you like to store. And I mentioned earlier about storing sugar in buckets with the Mylar bag. Just a tip, do not put any oxygen absorbers inside there, because you will end up chiseling out your sugar instead of getting a cup, measuring cup, and scooping it out. You don't need any oxygen absorbers for sugar. Sugar will keep indefinitely the way it is. It's just keep moisture out. That's all you need to do. That's why I put mine in Mylar bags, to help keep moisture out, and I guess bugs too. It will help with that. Mason jars. Now I don't have any, but I do plan on doing this method in the future. Canning jars, you know. You can store your rice or your beans, or you can actually gather ingredients, dry ingredients together, and do it that way. You've seen during Christmas time where they have the brownie mix in a jar. I'm sure some of y'all has got that as a Christmas gift over the years. Well, it's the same principle. You will get your ingredients together, right on the lid of the jar, or tape some instructions onto the jar itself. And I plan on doing that in the future. And I'll let you guys know how that works. So what you would do is you would put all your ingredients in there, or just your rice or your sugar or whatever. Well, not your sugar. And then put an oxygen absorber inside. I recommend a 300 cc. I think that's probably a little overkill, to be honest, but when you are opening and closing the jar, if you just have like beans or something in there, I think it's good to have a little bit extra, that the oxygen absorber can keep absorbing the oxygen, you know, in the jar itself. And the oxygen absorber will seal the lid for you. You don't have to have any kind of special equipment, although you can buy the accessories for your food saver and hook it up to the food saver and draw out the air like that if you want to. That's always a good option to help save your oxygen absorbers some too. So that's all I can think of, you guys, as far as alternatives go. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them down below in the comment section, and I will do my best to answer those questions. So this is it for this week's prepper video. Alright, I will see you next week. Bye.